It's funny looking back. I was in Boston 2014 visiting from Finland and was lost on how to get back to a location. I saw cops that gathered in the streets and instinctively thought I could ask them. They helped, but only later realized how dumb that was. Yeah. In America, here, one aspect of like police in other countries is like you can ask them for help in certain instances. Like obviously ACAB, universal, blah, blah, blah. We get it. They're still like the worst. They're still the worst people out of any like daily job, any layman. But like in America, you go up and you ask a fucking cop anything, they're gonna tell you to fuck off. Okay, they're gonna be like, I'm too busy. Fuck right off. They'll tell you to fuck off, literally. Yeah. If you're white, you got a 50-50 shot of them helping. My friend living in Japan says that you can ask the Japanese cops for water. Yeah, like apparently, yeah, you can like go up and ask Japanese cops for for guidance, and they will help you. They will help you out as best as they can. This doesn't mean like Japanese cops are good. I'm not saying that, but you're always gonna find like good examples or good interactions with cops. This just doesn't mean that they're like that. I was called out a man Karen that was harassing Chipotle workers. He was following me home. I drove up to some cops for help, and they detained for 90 minutes, even though I came to them for help. They detained you. Nice. When my backpack was stolen in Tokyo, the cops kept insisting I lost it. Lamau. That's funny. Japan is infamous for their detention techniques. Yes, that's true as well. Anyway, this doesn't mean that like I said, this doesn't mean like Japanese cops are good or anything. Obviously not. They can be monstrous in their own way. But it does definitely change the dynamic when the person you're interacting to is not armed to the fucking teeth and also operating under the knowledge that if they kill you, they could probably get away with it and get get death duty. You know what I mean? It does. Like that's a huge difference. And for some reason, it's like hard to explain that to people who just, I guess, never have felt the fear of that. But like the person you're interacting with, if they historically have been able to get away with like paid administrative leave after killing someone, and they're armed to the goddamn teeth, and they are known to immediately escalate with use of force, sometimes use of lethal force, like why the fuck wouldn't you be terrified of that interaction? When you talk to a cop in Europe and they don't have a gun and they have like one cop killing a year, you know what I mean, max, that's a totally different conversation to have, which is what I've talked about before. This was like a moment that like a lot of boot lovers have clipped out of context, where I said like in more civilized countries you can like fight a cop, which they love talking about. They remember we were looking at, I think, France, where like some fucking firefighter was like duking it out with a cop, and I was like, yeah, it's true. It just means that there is like more balance. And Americans can't comprehend that. They're like, what do you mean? That doesn't mean like punching a cop doesn't make you civilized. I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the fact that like people are less fearful of having conversations, interacting, and even getting physical with police in other countries, which implies that police are not infallible murder machines in said countries. That is what I mean. That's an indication of a country being more civilized than the United States of America. Okay? Yes. Throw question marks all you want. I think that police should be held to a higher standard than the average citizen, not to a lower standard than the average citizen. A police duking it out with you, okay? A cop duking it out with you should be held to a higher standard, like boxers are. You know what I mean? Because they are a group of people who have the capacity to remove your freedoms. They have a monopoly on violence. They have a right to kill. So they should be held to a higher standard, not a lower one, which ironically they are held to a lower standard instead of a higher one. Okay? The ability to fight cops is what Americans think the right to bear arms is all about, right? Yeah, except, the same ones who are like, I want a right to bear arms are also the same fucking assholes who love talking about how cops should be able to kill everyone except themselves, I guess. How did the police presence in Japan feel? Nothing. It's laughable. Like I said, one aspect of an incredibly safe society is the fact that there are no guns. So, like, even when we were deep in the cut and Connor was like, this is literally Yakuza Alley, okay? Like, everyone around you, and I saw the fucking neck tattoos and shit, too. Like, every person that was, like, farming people to go into their host clubs were Yakuza, okay? And it literally felt probably 100 times safer than just walking into a fucking 7-Eleven, okay? In America. Like, it's so funny. It's so funny to think, like, the most dangerous area full of, like, gang activity is still infinitely more safe. You know why? Because they don't have fucking guns. Not everybody has literal actual guns on them at all times. Especially because, like, I guess because I'm also a big boy too. Like, when no one is strapped, when ostensibly no one is strapped, okay? Like, not saying that the Yakuza don't have guns. Of course they do. But, like, they're not open carrying in the same way that you see motherfuckers in America, okay? So most people, the average person, including cops, don't have guns on them. They have batons. They might have a taser. They might have knives, but they don't have fucking guns. So there's an element of safeness that immediately you feel that I especially felt being like a bigger dude too, ultimately. I'm not talking about cops carrying knives. I'm talking about cops carrying batons and tasers, and then, people that want to do like fucked up shit would have knives at the most. Safety? Question mark. More guns equals safety, man. Yeah, that's why America is famously the most safe country on the planet. You mean katanas, not knives, right? No, they have knives, bro. What do you mean? They're not fucking running around with a katana. You must get your official title given by the Yakuza Mr. Shakedown. Yeah, I want that. Motherfuckers used to constantly walk into the store, used to work out with guns in their waistband. That's why we need to arm the teachers, janitors, and bus drivers. I agree. So, for the record, like, that is a main component of this. The other component of it is that there's, guns everywhere. That's dangerous. But then there's also a lot of poverty and socioeconomic conditions, your material conditions, create an environment where violence and violent crimes are infinitely more likely to occur. And in a country where there is massive income inequality, there's massive income inequality like the United States of America, there's going to be a lot of violent crime that happens. That's how this works. So clearly, that's why people feel unsafe all the time in big cities or like walking around at night. Like, I mean, for me, it's like Los Angeles is not as terrifying as the way other people feel it is, right?